What makes a wireless communication system a good one? Is that a communication system that can support a high bit rate, many bits per second? Or is it a communication system that can support many users, many bits per second per square meter? So should we develop, let's say, a Formula One racing car, a system that can go very fast and then show in a lab or under excellent conditions that this is a device that can communicate at very high speeds? Or should we develop a system that can accommodate many users, can be robust in the sense that it can support fast communication under all possible circumstances, everywhere, under any condition, and even if different manufacturers manufacture it in a slightly different way? Exactly this difference is a difference in approach that I see in the community of researchers that publish papers in the field of optical wireless communication. Some of these researchers come from the field of fiber communication, and if you own on both sides the equipment that terminates the link, then you can just optimize it for speed over that very reliable fiber communication link. But it's very different if we look into the community of radio engineers. They are experienced in going to standardization meetings where many companies have to produce equipment, where the equipment from one manufacturer has to work with the equipment from another manufacturer. So reproducibility, being sure that differences in sensitivity or in implementation can still interoperate. And therefore, that community needs reference models. If that community sees a result that something has been shown in a lab once, that doesn't tell much, because it has to work with the reference models. And even if it is a simulation, but the simulation using the models on which decades of research have been done, that's the proof of the pudding. Whereas the fiber people and the free space optical link people believe in showing it under the conditions where it can really reach a very high bitrate, many bits per second. So which of these communities will be most effective in making sure that optical wireless communication can land in 6G? And that depends. It depends on where we use it, because free space optical links may be very effective in connecting all the base stations of 6G. Make sure that these connections between base stations and access points have very high bitrate. And the operators own the backbone, so they can decide what kind of equipment to use there. And then free space optical communication links can be very effective in providing very high bit rates. And if you go for wireless communication and using an optical link in an environment where there are many users, where there are many devices, and you want to exploit the property that light does not go through the wall, such that you can use the full bandwidth, the full optical spectrum even, in that room and use it again in the next room, then you're in business if you can design a system where many client devices can all work in that system. So there, the use of reference models, the use of and the test for many bits per joule, giving a high bit rate at very low power, designing very carefully all the features to optimize it for a mass market. That is the way that typically the wireless communication systems has been standardized, like 3G, 4G, 5G, and also 6G. So it depends where we will use optical wireless communication. And the use in a mass market where it is reproducible, where we have the reference models, and where it can work at low power, and where we spend quite a bit of time in optimizing all the details of that system, that is the approach that the radio engineers like to see when we are going for a next generation wireless communication system. And one of the things that I've often asked the audience in a presentation that I'm giving in optical wireless communication conferences, if you want to go very rapidly from one end of a congested Mumbai to another end with all the traffic jams, would you then buy a Formula One racing car? that can go very fast? Or would you like to have devices and a solution that can live in that congested world. And I think that makes an interesting debate for what kind of research results we need to make optical wireless communication happen in 6G.